Hey friends, Zach here. In this video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about how I made my Reflectix window covers. So I made them a few months back in preparation for this entire journey, and the main purpose that they serve, of course, is keeping out the light while I'm sleeping, and they also do a little bit of insulating. I'm not sure to what extent they insulate, but they must do a little bit. So I want to thank Scott Quigley for asking, how did you attach the Reflectix to the shell? Which I will answer that in a little bit. And I also want to thank Ryan Murphy for asking, can you do a video of your window cover setup and explain how you made them? So in this video, I'm going to answer both of those questions, and I'm going to do my best to walk you through the thought process behind making them the way I did, and I'll give you a little bit of insight into anything that I've learned through using them in my living space for 3 months now. So let's head on back there and I will break it down. So here we are. Here's the back of the truck, and if you have not seen the full setup yet, I'll go ahead and link it up in the top of this video and you can check that out. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go ahead and grab one of my window covers. And there goes the sleeping bag. All right, so here is one of the window covers. And I'll go ahead and do my best to try and explain exactly how these were made. So it's essentially 2 pieces of Reflectix, one on this side and one on the other side. And sandwiched in between of those sheets of Reflectix is a 1/4 inch or maybe 1/16 inch sheet of corrugated plastic. And that plastic is really there just to give the window cover some structure and some rigidity. And so to keep all those together, I just simply use some duct tape around all the sides. It's definitely not the best, most aesthetically pleasing to look at, but it definitely gets the job done keeping everything together. So that right there is exactly how I made them. In order to get the shapes, because you can see the shape right here is pretty long. In order to get that shape, I simply measured around the window and just made sure I covered the entire thing. Because like I mentioned before, one of the main purposes of these window covers is to keep out all of the light while I'm sleeping. And it is in fact incredibly dark sleeping in there. Even sometimes at night when I sleep in a parking lot underneath a light post, there's absolutely no light coming through pretty much ever. So those window covers have done an impeccable job of keeping out all of the light. So my thought process behind creating these window covers the way I did really wasn't too complex at all. I knew I needed 4 window covers, 2 of which would be the exact same for that window right there and for that window right there, and of course the wind door and the window separating the cab and the living space would be different. So I knew I needed to create 4 of them. I really hadn't seen a great idea on YouTube or through a little bit of research, and so it kind of gave me the ability to create whatever I wanted to, and that's exactly what I did. So the biggest problem, the biggest obstacle was finding a way for these window covers to stay flat against the window. So that was an interesting constraint that I had. And so for the most part, what I came up with was really the only easy and fast solution I could find that provided a little bit of insulation value. I considered using a curtain and just hanging it from the top, but there was no way that it was gonna stay perfectly flat up against the window. And I'm not totally sure if you can see, but the top of the window up here is a little bit farther out than the bottom. So if I hung a curtain from the top, it would be straight down, and unfortunately it wouldn't be flat against the window. So that's one of the reasons why I utilized this creation here. And so for me, it has done a great job of staying up against the window. So now I'll go ahead and hop on in and I'll show you guys exactly how I use these window covers to provide a perfect seal up against the window. All right, friends, well, hopefully I can do a good enough job explaining how these window covers stay in place so you can understand exactly what I was talking about before. So the first thing, of course, that I do is I simply take my window cover. Most of the time it's folded in half. So I've done a pretty good job of, figuring out a way to unfold it after I take it out of the cargo net up here. So once I get it unfolded, I simply place it flat against my window. The next thing I do is I utilize these anchor points from the through bolts from the roof rack. So there's one in the front here and one in the back. And I simply created these little sticks here. So the smaller one is used in the front, and it simply presses up against the window cover, and then it snaps into place on the top of the roof rack. So there's the one on front, and one is enough, but I went ahead and made two. And that's how they snap into place. So let me go ahead and get you a closer view here. So that's how they're held in place. It simply just snaps right in like that. So there's a little bit of pressure against the window cover. And here's the one in the back. It works the exact same way, just like that. And so that right there is the genius behind my window covers. It's as simple as it gets, and it gets the job done. So that is actually something that I have loved about these window covers, is that taking them in and out is very, very easy. I'm able to store them when they're not in use up in my cargo net here, and they've just done a great job for me. One thing I don't like about these window covers is that they're very, very bulky. So even when they're up here, they do take some inches away from my headroom. So that's definitely something that I don't like. In a rebuild, I would definitely consider, experimenting with other window cover designs. But yeah, for now, these have been fantastic and they work incredibly well. It's possible that you're wondering how this setup holds up while driving down bumpy roads or through long days on the highway, as it was something that I was curious about before I left for my journey. So for the most part, I can say that 99% of the time, these things stay exactly where they are, regardless of which roads I'm driving down. There was one instance where one of them had knocked off, but it was probably because I didn't set them up too well. But yeah, I mean, if they're set up properly, they do a great job of staying in place, and especially at night, do an amazing job of keeping the light out. So that's been something amazing about these window covers. Just so I don't leave them out, the window covers for the back here and the front window, I keep up here most of the time. It's not really the best idea to have this one in place or even that one in place when I'm driving, because it just blocks the view. So I really only put those up at night when it's time to sleep, but those are cut to the exact dimensions of those windows, which also helps to keep out all of the light. Well, there you have it. I hope I was able to answer some questions for you guys about my window covers. And the process is, in fact, rather simple. Once they're made, they do a great job of doing exactly what they're supposed to do. So Ryan and Scott, thank you guys for asking those questions. I hope I answered them to the best of my ability for you. And that's basically it. There they are in place, and that one actually really doesn't even need the sticks, just because the bed and the mattress does such a good job of keeping it snug in place. Also, before I go, I want to mention that these likely do provide a little bit of reflectix, or insulation value, I should say, especially when all four of them are up. The body heat that's coming off of my body while I'm inside is likely trapped, or has an increased chance of being trapped when those four reflectix sheets are up. With that all being said, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. I will definitely be answering all of your questions at some point in time. So if you have one, do not hesitate to ask it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.